Good morning and welcome to today's Smart Business Strategies podcast. I'm Anna Wiles, the franchise economist. I'm delighted you're here. Audience, join me in welcoming our special guest today, Mike Aiello with Top Rail Fence. All right, Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anna. I'm very appreciative for you having me on the show today.
Well, I'm super excited for the audience to hear what Top Rail has to offer. So start us off and tell us a little bit about you and a lot about Top Rail.
Absolutely. Well, Anna, you did a great job pronouncing my name correctly. Yes, like Anna said, my name is Mike Aiello. I am the franchise development director for Top Rail Fence, which is a brand, a part of the Homefront Brands platform. A little bit about Top Rail. We are a fence installation franchise. What does that mean? We install fences, residential and commercial properties, any type of fence product you can name, wood, vinyl, steel, chain link, aluminum, we can get our hands on. What makes our model a little bit unique, Anna, is actually the fact that we train our owners on how to install fences. So they are subject matter experts in the business. We do not ask our owners to get on their hands and knees and install fences. What's become more popular, actually, as a matter of fact, every single franchise location that's operating today, well over 100 territories open and operating, all of those owners use subcontractors to do the installs for them. So our strategy, it keeps your fixed overhead relatively low, job costs stay relatively fixed, so it becomes pretty easy for owners to identify margin from job to job.
That is a great feature of your business. Now, Mike, I'm going to ask you a tough question. What makes you unique or different from other fencing franchises?
That's a great question, Anna. In my opinion, the biggest piece of support that the Top Rail franchisor offers to our franchisees is our centralized contact center, meaning that if a homeowner calls in to Top Rail Fence of Atlanta, Dallas, Charlotte, etc., we have somebody who answers the phone. They collect some basic information from a homeowner, and then they book that homeowner for an in-person quote for the franchisee, for a sales manager, for somebody to then go perform an in-person quote. And I always mention, because it is very important in today's world, our contact center is not a third party. It's not outsourced overseas. They work in the same building I work in Charlotte, North Carolina. So everything is centralized through us from that standpoint.
And one of the things you had explained to me, Mike, is that you corrected me when I called it a call center. You say, no, it's a contact center because you do more than just answer the phone. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So not a call center, we had to, take that term out. We created the contact center, and why there's a difference in that, Anna, is because you can imagine not everybody just inquires about a fence between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. If somebody fills out a Facebook form or a Google pay-per-click ad, puts their first name, last name, phone number, address on that form, let's say that happens at 9 o'clock Eastern time, our contact center is going to follow up with that lead the following day. So they do a bit of outbound reach as well when volume dictates it.
Well, that's fantastic. That's very nice to help with the lead generation. That's fabulous. All right. So, Mike, explain to the audience, what is the role of an owner? How is he or she spending their day? What are they doing and who are they interacting with?
Absolutely. This time of year, it's June 18th. A lot of our owners are very, very busy
Very
because this
busy.
is the time. This is the time of year that people, obviously are looking into home improvement projects, like having a new fence on their property. A couple different ways to think about what the owner does in the business. In Top Rail, largely you have either an owner operator model or a executive model. We don't use the word semi-absentee. If I could take that out of the English language, I would, because you never want to be absent from a business.
No.
But in the owner operator model, having installers, your subcontractors, that's obviously key in the business. You need them. Now, outside of them, there's two main roles in the business. You have a sales hat and you have an operations hat. The sales hat, a lot of our owners, if they are an owner operator, choose to wear that hat up front. What are they doing if that's their hat? They're meeting with homeowners. They have appointments set on their calendar. If they have time for it, they're also networking with local business owners, referral marketing partners, things like that. But ideally, if you are wearing the sales hat, you have anywhere between 6 to 8 appointments in a day. and you're selling fences. Now, if you're sales adverse, that's fine. We have a handful of owners that are like that. They don't like in-person sales. They're probably going to wear the operations hat. What is that hat responsible for? Coordinating with your subcontract crews, managing them on install projects, maybe ordering inventory, keeping up with purchase orders, things like that. Now, if you don't want to do either of those two roles, you want to be more in the executive model, you're going to need to hire both of those roles up front. But largely, those are the two main responsibilities in the business. And as you scale and ramp, it becomes a plug and play method. We have KPIs baked into the business, meaning that if you're booked out 10 days with appointments, there should be a red alarm that goes off that says you need to hire another salesperson. If you're booked out 10 days with installs, probably going to need to hire another operations person so you have the opportunity to do more than one install in a day. So again, it becomes more of a plug and play method when you look at it that way.
And what a great way to scale a business, just by adding people instead of locations, brick, mortar, real estate build out, and all that expense. So that is a very efficient and cost-effective way to grow and scale this service business. There are a lot of things that are check, check, check with Top Rail. All right, so explain a little bit about, you mentioned somebody, whether it's the owner, him or herself, or hires a sales manager, who they're building referral relationships with. Who are they contacting and getting to know and making sure they know them?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we don't just rely on referral marketing partners. Largely, a majority of your leads are going to be generated through digital advertising, which we obviously assist with. We have a great digital marketing partner that can generate Facebook ads, Google ads, Meta ads, things like that. Now, you don't just want to rely on digital marketing. That can get expensive in different years, like an election year, where there's a lot of stuff being flooded on social media and Google. So it is always healthy to have a steady stream of referral leads as well. The best referral partner that a Top Rail Fence franchisee can have is a pool contractor. Every state in America, Anna, if you have a pool on your property, you are legally required to have a fence around it. So a pool contractor is a great partner to have. Obviously, you can refer leads to one another. Another great example would be a real estate agent or a real estate developer. They show a home, they close that home, the home doesn't have a fence. They say, hey, I know you had said you have two golden doodles. This home doesn't have a fence. I know a great fence guy in the market. Here's his name. Here's his business card. You should definitely give him a call. So you want to have a healthy mix of referral marketing leads as well as your digital leads as well.
What about HOA associations, property managers, folks like that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, HOAs have become very popular in our country today. So that is another example of a referral marketing partner is an HOA president. To my knowledge, if you live in an HOA and you want to have a fence, sometimes they require you can only have a white vinyl, you can only have a cedar fence. So it's very important to introduce yourself to the presidents so they know you, they like and they trust you because you went and dropped off a box of donuts, a cup of coffee, you introduced yourself. So when a homeowner does want a fence and they send that approval to the president, they say, hey, I actually met Mike. I know that business owner. That was a great experience. Why wouldn't we approve this? So yeah, we do have franchisees that do look to just create a relationship with an HOA president. So they do know who they are and they're more willing to accept that work.
All right. So who makes a good candidate for Top Rail? Do you have to come from the construction industry or the fencing industry? I mean, who is it that you found succeeds with a Top Rail franchise?
Absolutely. That's a great question, Anna. Largely, our owners across the country, and like I said, well over 100 open and operating territories. Almost every single owner that we have in this system comes from corporate America. Even to go a little bit deeper, largely none of them had ever sold a fence or installed a fence in their entire life. So it's very encouraging for anybody that's listening out there. You do not need to have experience installing fences or even being in a property service business to be a good business owner in our system. As a matter of fact, for whatever reason, we have a number of owners in the system that come from corporate sales backgrounds. technology sales, med device sales, pharmaceutical sales.
Mhm.
Some of those profiles turn out to be some of the most successful owners in our system. Now, that's not required, right?
Mhm.
That's fine. There's other people out there that come from project management or they manage teams in their career. Those are also great characteristics because
Right.
when you're managing a business, if you want to scale, you're going to have to manage teams as well. So those are some of the traits and characteristics that we really look for to make a great top rail fence franchisee.
Makes a lot of sense. All right. So, one thing that I hear a lot as a franchise consultant is people, when they're new to an industry like fencing, they think, well, where do I get the workers? I know I use subcontract, but where do I get them? How do I find them? Do I train them? What do I ask them? I mean, speak to that, Mike, about how Top Rail handles that from A to Z.
Absolutely. That's a great question. And because our business is dependent on installers, you have to make sure you find installers. Now, we help you do that. We have its SOP, a standard operating procedure. When we launch a new owner, how should they go find installers? How should they vet those installers? Ask them the right questions to make sure that they're good people, make sure that they're insured. If they're not insured, you should not use them. So really, Anna, the first place that we coach franchisees to go as they come through onboarding before they open is to go to our local vendors or our national vendors, or even a place like Home Depot or Lowe's.
Hmm.
Typically, any of those entities will give you a list of subcontractors that have gone in there and said that they offer roofing, fencing, driveways,
Hmm.
cement, any of
Hmm.
those services. So that's great. You get a list. You have to vet out that list. Start
Hmm.
with a phone call. Bring the head of the crew out to lunch. Ask him or her for referral work that they've done in the past. The other strategy that's become popular recently is actually posting an employment ad on Career Plug, Indeed, Facebook. And obviously, we have the templates and the keywords that we give our franchisees how to post that ad. I guarantee you, Anna, you post an ad like that, you will get a lot of responses. I'm looking for qualified subcontractors that know how to install fences. You'll get a lot of responses. Are all of those inquiries going to be good people? Absolutely not, unfortunately, which is why you have to vet them out. So it actually becomes a very similar strategy as how we would coach somebody to find a W-2 employee. The only
Hmm.
difference, they're going to be a 1099 versus a W-2.
One of the things I find really hugely fabulous about Top Rail is you said with a out of all your open territories and all your many franchisees, no one has said they couldn't find any good quality fence installers. That's huge.
Yeah, exactly. And now, it would be inappropriate for me to tell you that every owner, the first crew that they found is still the same crew that they use today.
Hmm.
That's not how the business world works, right?
Right.
So,
Hmm.
but that is something I can say with confidence. And eventually,
Hmm.
as I work with candidates, I tell them to verify it when they speak to franchisees. If they couldn't find subcontractors or installers, that's a problem. That is not a
Hmm.
problem we've run into in this business so far.
Well, it took me 6 VAs, virtual assistants, before I landed on one that I've had for 4 years. So, yeah, it's a learning curve for sure, but it's great that you have best practices, you have templates, you've done the process over and over and over again, and you can help people, zero in on how to get their installers. That's not, frankly, an issue, is what it sounds like. All right, so Mike, we're running out of time. So this show is called Smart Business Strategies. What is a smart business strategy that Top Rail uses that you like to share with the audience?
Yeah, that's a great question, Anna. There's really two big things that come to mind. Number one, we spent a lot of time talking about installers and subcontractors. So let me just elaborate why we even do that, because it is a
Hmm.
smart business strategy, in my opinion.
Hmm.
We are firm believers in this model that you should tie your labor expense directly to revenue. So in the months of late November, December, and January, when revenue
Hmm.
dips, because inevitably it will, unless you're in
Hmm.
retail around the holidays, uh,
Right.
your labor expense dips when revenue dips. So you're not on the hook for paying installers 40 hours a week if you live in New York or New Jersey in the months of December and November. What do
Hmm.
those crews do? They typically get into snow removal, they put salt on the ground, etc. So that, in my opinion, is a smart business strategy that the franchisor uses. Now, an example of a franchisee that we learned a smart business strategy, we have a great franchise partner in the West Palm Beach, Florida market, Shane Jarman. And one thing he did early on in this business, you can imagine if you want a fence on your property, you probably need to pull a permit from the local municipality or a town. Shane, the owner in West Palm, he started to figure out that he was spending a lot of time on pulling permits. So what he did was put together an SOP. He basically filmed himself on his computer of how to pull a permit in each town that he deals with. He hired a virtual assistant, sent those videos to his VA, took her some time to go over those. But now he has a virtual assistant that pulls all of his permits for him. So he now isn't wasting his time pulling permits. He has somebody that does it for him. It's very cost effective, and it allows him to focus on sales and volume in the business.
That's fantastic. Well, Mike, if someone wants to learn more about Top Rail or any of the Homefront brands, what should they do?
The first place you should go is reach out to Anna Wilds. Franchising is not for everybody. Business ownership isn't for everybody, and Top Rail is not for everybody. So the first step should be to contact a franchise consultant like Anna. She does a great job in education to even make sure that this business even makes sense for you. So my advice to anybody listening is to reach out to Anna, and she'll get you started in a more formal process.
Well, thank you so much, Mike, for being here. Audience, this is Mike Aiello with Top Rail, a Homefront brand. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you, Anna. I appreciate your time.
I'm Anna Wilds, the franchise economist, and be wildly wealthy in all areas of your life. Bye-bye.